My Lords, we now move to the second reading of the Lithium-ion batteries safety bill. Lord Redesdale.
That this bill be now read the second time. My Lords, House of Lords private members' bills are rarely successful in reaching the statute book. I should know I've introduced quite a few over the years. Their purpose is often to raise the issues in the bill and encourage the government to bring forward their own legislation. So in this regard, the lithium-ion safety bill has been incredibly successful. We have only got to second reading, and already the government has responded by publishing the Product Regulation and Metrology Bill. And of course this, as the Minister will say, will cover many of the areas put in the private members' bill. And I will therefore, in light of this, be looking to amend the bill at committee stage. However, whilst going through the clauses, there are a number of areas I would like to question the Minister concerning the scope of the Product Regulation and Metrology Bill. I would like to start by welcoming the Minister to her new role, and also thank her for arranging arranging a briefing from the Bill team, which was incredibly helpful and constructive. The basis of this bill is about protecting the public. Lithium-ion batteries are a vital part of the UK's transition to a greener, lower carbon future. Indeed, the acceptance of these batteries as an integral part of our lives ranges from laptops through to the electric bike I have parked outside the building today. My Lords, it is of course an issue that we're not allowed to bring electric bikes into the building because of the potential fire risk. However, the way we treat lithium-ion batteries shows how safe people feel about those batteries. And whilst the vast majority of batteries are safe, there are two areas that need to be focused on. These are the fires that can be caused by poor quality batteries and chargers, and the problems associated with disposal. Electrical Safety First, who were prime movers in drafting this bill, have calculated that in London an e-bike or e-scooter fire occurs on average once every 2 days, a worrying trend that is happening across the country. Since 2020, lithium-ion battery fires linked to the charging of e-bikes and e-scooters have been linked to 13 deaths in the UK, with many others seriously injured or hospitalised, including, of course, members of the fire service, and caused significant damage to property. Lithium-ion battery fires are caused by thermal runaway, the reaction within the cells of a lithium-ion battery that produces an exothermic reaction that cascades through all the cells of the battery, which causes a prolonged release of energy and results in fires with temperatures exceeding 600 degrees Celsius. The batteries release toxic gases such as hydrofluoric acid that corrodes the lungs. Once on fire, lithium-ion battery fires are almost impossible to extinguish with traditional firefighting methods, as the battery creates its own oxygen. Whilst the risk of fire is low, the way people charge their e-bikes and scooters mean that these fires can be particularly dangerous. Many devices are charged in halls or stairwells, and often overnight, which is one of the reasons for the number of deaths associated with the fires at home.
Forgive me for interrupting the Noble Lord's extremely interesting and important speech so early, but can I just ask at the outset of this legislation proposal whether it addresses the future? Because we know that a great tide of new technologies are going to replace lithium-ion. I don't have a list in front of me now. It's sodium-based, graphene, manganese oxide. Most of them, I may say, being pushed by the Chinese. Does his legislation sort of look forward to this new scene and in any way address the obvious problems that are going to come with this new generation of different technologies for batteries?
Well, the simple answer is no. I'm afraid there are obviously going to be a new generation of sodium batteries with their own problems, but hopefully they'll be extremely safe when brought to market. However, moving back to the speech, there is a growing awareness of the fire risk from faulty batteries or defective chargers. However, less well known is the area of disposal. Many batteries end up in the waste stream without being segregated. Batteries are presenting acute challenges for operators in the metal recycling industry. The British Metal Recycling Association estimated that over 200 fires at metal recycling plants are caused by lithium-ion batteries each year, with damaging environmental impacts including harmful emissions being released into the atmosphere and contamination of fire-fighting waters. Zurich, the insurance company, has seen claims for lithium-ion fires increase significantly over the last few years, and research from Recycle Your Electricals shows that battery fires in bin lorries and at waste sites in the UK have reached an all-time high of over 1,200 in 2024, an increase of 71% from 700 in 2022. There is a planned consultation on battery disposal by the government, which is timely. But we should recognise that the rate of recycling is low, and I would suggest that the figures on recycling mask this because of fewer batteries are actually recycled than I think are reflected in the figures. The British and Irish Battery Association, when I met with them, set out some of the problems associated with recycling. One area that is worth considering is working on solutions to regulations to allow batteries to be collected perhaps by delivery companies or recycling or supermarket deliveries. This could be a safe way of recycling the millions of used batteries that are in people's drawers around the country without people then dumping them into the rubbish. I would suggest that many noble lords have a whole box full of unrecycled batteries, which are incredibly, you leave in places and always forget to take to the recycling centre. My lords, I was going to give a long speech about disposable vapes, which is another real issue along this. However, now due to time, I'll leave that to my noble friend, Lord Foster, to deal with. My lords, moving on to the clauses in the bill. Clause 1 details the purpose of the bill, including better protecting householders and communities from the dangers of lithium-ion batteries and increasing public confidence in and acceptance of battery energy storage systems. Clause 2 would require the fire services, environmental agents in the health and safety executives to be statutory consultees on planning for new standalone battery energy storage systems. This would allow for a greater understanding of the risk profile and necessary planning to allow any future incidents to be responded to by the relevant services. This clause may be addressed by DEFRA and the EA on the consultation they're taking forward of the work they're undertaking, but making sure there is access by the fire and emergency service to these batteries in the unlikely event of a fire is really important, especially if the batteries do not need planning permissions because they're retrofitted into sites close to residential areas. My Lords, Clause 3 would require the Secretary of State to make regulations requiring requiring the operator of online marketplaces to take responsible steps to ensure that the safety of the products sold on their platforms conform to the relevant safety standards. Currently, substandard and dangerous products relating to and including high-risk lithium-ion batteries, such as universal chargers or ill-made conversion kits, are continually bought and sold across a plethora of online marketplaces, presenting risks to those purchasing and using such products. My Lords, the helpful briefing I had from the Bill team have indicated this clause will be covered in the new bill coming forward. But I would hope that the Minister will make sure that there is a focus on conversion and charging kits, because this is where most of the fires occur. Clause 4 would introduce third-party certification of all e-bikes and e-scooter batteries before they can be placed on the UK market. This is a similar requirement for other high-risk projects, such as heavy machinery and fireworks. Having a dedicated safety standard to monitor and enforce compliance would also aid trading standards and the Office for Product Safety and Standards with their duties. My Lords, this morning when I took my bike out, I looked at the charger and read the back, and it does have a CE mark on the back, which gave me confidence until I actually talked to members of the industry who said that might not give you all the confidence you really need. So I'm quite fortunate that I charge my bike in a bike shed outside on that basis. Clause 5 would introduce safety standards for ancillary products associated with these devices, such as a standard for conversion kits and chargers. This would reduce the risk of improper battery systems powering converted e-bikes and the risk of overcharging the battery, which can lead to thermal runaway. Clause 6 would introduce regulations around the disposal and safety information supplied with the battery, giving clear information on the disposal requirements and the cell chemistry contained within the battery. This clause would help reduce the number of fires seen in the waste disposal sites and bin lorries, as well as provide information about the chemicals that people may have been exposed to, helping healthcare professionals to administer appropriate treatment. My Lords, I look forward to the Minister's response, and in light of the Product Regulation and Metrology Bill, I have a feeling that her indication that this bill will sail through this House and onto the Commons might not be forthcoming. However, I will be looking at maybe moving forward to committee stage, in which I would address the concerns, especially those raised by the Delegated Powers and Regulatory Reform Committee. If the Minister can assure me, maybe at a later stage, I may even withdraw the bill. My Lords, the one question I do have, though, with the new bill coming, I keep on thinking of it meteorology, metrology bill, is that much of the meat of it is going to come in secondary legislation. And I would hope that the Minister, especially in this area, will help consultation with all parties to go forward. I would hope that to help me decide whether to actually withdraw the bill, I could have a meeting with some of her officials, with the relevant parties, going forward before the next stage. My Lords, I'd like to thank all the noble Lords who will be taking part in this debate, and my Lords, I beg to move that this bill, I beg to move.
This bill